Hey there, everybody. Welcome. It's the Lotus Art of Sacred Embodiment. Whoops. And I'm happy to have you here. I know I just am not on here very much, but I might be hopping on here a little bit more in the very near future. I have been moving into a new direction, as some of you may know. And I have been waiting for everything to percolate, everything to settle, and for the guidance to kind of lead me into that readiness. And I'm not sure if I'm quite there yet, but I do have some things that I really want to be sharing and I'm feeling that are pertinent and called to be of service to those of you who this resonates with. So part of this new direction is what I'm calling sweet simplicity and slow life living. And it is directly connected to the deepening or even really the truer levels of the embodiment process that we are able to access now. Everybody knows things are changing rapidly. I keep thinking to myself, from The Wizard of Oz, Toto, we are no longer in Kansas. Like, we literally are no longer in Kansas. And how do we navigate Oz, right? And it's I think it's hard if you don't have a foundation to actually stabilize into, to access and really move effortlessly and with more ease and grace through Oz. So I've often used that analogy of the yellow brick road, right? But I call it the golden brick road. And it's really where we don't know where that golden brick road is going. But we develop a faith and trust through our own stages and phases of our development to trust that the bricks that light up are leading us into that divine alignment. And this is now, we're heading into a whole next level of that divine alignment. And I'm not going to go into all the details. There will be, there's always much more over on Patreon, and the link will be below. And I definitely recommend that if you do resonate with what I share, please come over there and join us. Introduce yourself to me, and that way you can kind of maybe keep up the pace a little bit better than on here on YouTube. Better yet, if you're really struggling, if you don't even know where to begin, then I am available, of course, for private work. So over this last 2 years, there has been some deep guidance that has come through me that has been refining my own process into deeper and deeper what was given to me, God's sufficiency. Meaning, what I was told is, we know that you can operate in self-sufficiency. Right? So I kind of passed those tests for the most part. And then it was time to enter into God's sufficiency, meaning learning to really let go and trust that life has us, right? Life is here. Life with a capital L. Life is here to support us as we continue to untangle from the realities of this crumbling, matrix. We'll just call it the matrix, the crumbling matrix. But there are new templates that are forming, right? We all have been talking about this. You guys know this. And so I've been really sort of in this refinement process of learning to wait, literally until things are my new word is consecrated by the divine before I make any moves, before I, put something out, before, like really, I haven't been clear. I haven't had a lot of clarity. I get clear. And then it all kind of goes back into this waviness. So I'm given information about the direction that things are going. And then through my own unfolding and the lessons that I'm needing to learn, but I'm not given the full picture. And not that there's ever a full picture, but I'm not really given, here's what you're doing, A, B, C, and D, right? Because there are many, many layers and levels that are landing, and that inner work is becoming more subtle and yet more profound, and creating more deep peace and love and faith and trust and connection with all that is, right? So what I've been shown is that, and this is becoming more of a collective theme, the hustle and bustle of the past is not working anymore. Meaning, we're going to have bumpier roads if we stay, if we stay locked into striving and pushing, and in that egoic construct of needing to prove and needing to achieve, and that survival and scarcity template is real, right? That first chakra lock in that has humanity, let's just say literally almost, but definitely energetically by the cojones. It's like we're locked into that for a reason. Because the more that we're locked into that safety and survival experience, the less likely we're going to be to let go of it and expand out from contractive ways of thinking, feeling, and behaving and experiencing our life, right? So the rubber is meeting the road really at this material plane right now, which is activating so much of our lower centers. And I'm not going to keep going on about all of this. I will be doing more about my own personal experience and teaching from some of that over on Patreon. But what I really want to do here is I want to share some of the guidance that I have been receiving, not just for me, but for everybody who carries the coding, the templates, the divine blueprint to begin this next level of their ascension, incension, right? The remembering of our own highest expressions. So many words, so many labels, so many prisms and viewpoints and ways in to, this next level. I'm here to share my way in to assist those who are who feel it, who feel the alignment with it, and desire to do this next level of work. All right, so this actually goes back to last year sometime. I'm not going to read everything because some of it is specifically just for me, but I am going to try to catch all the places that are here for all of us. So when I say you, right, that means the collective. It means humanity. It means everyone now who is in this flow or wanting to be in this flow. So they're basically asking me, so, may we offer you a different perspective on some of the things that I was writing and journaling about? And I said, yes, please. They said the struggle has not been to weigh you humanity down with hardship, meaning, right, our karma, our woundings, our trials and tribulations, right? It's not meant to weigh us down, to create more hardship. The struggle in truth is what it takes to work with the higher frequencies, the greater field, in the knowing that the human egoic structure is not the solo doer. We have never been the solo doer. Manifestation, right? So some of you might know I usually don't use the word manifestation anymore. I use co-creation. Manifestation enabled you to exercise and strengthen and witness your creator ability with little help, or so it seemed, from source. The field is and has always been a part of your playground. So we've always been playing in this cosmic, quantum field of creating. We are always creating our reality. It just is, what is it in us that is creating, right? Is it our wounding, or is it our channel for our highest creation? The field is and has always been a part of your playground, and the games, source, all that is, has always held a hand. However, it was more so to lift up to the devices of your humanness in order for you to choose and to recognize your motives, meaning those underlying motives for whatever we were choosing, and to decide where and how to align and to witness the power of your will in action. Was it from scarcity? Was it from needing to prove? Was it from, a true part of your blueprint? We've been given these opportunities to decipher, right? Well, who am I? What and how am I really operating in the world? And what is compelling me and propelling me forward? This allowed many awarenesses to be witnessed from all points at play. However, for all the ways in which you needed to go through layers of learnings, okay, our karma, our wounding, okay, the pull of your souls always guided you, and you were connected and followed, right? So this is for those of us who have been on this journey. We've been listening. We've been stumbling along the way, as so we thought. Our stumbles have never been stumbles. They've been our lessons and our teachings. So the more that we've been paying attention, the more that we've been inner listening and connecting to that which is bigger, then we've always been connected and guided. I believe we always are, even through our shadow and wounding phases and stages, but they're talking about from a different space right now. There comes a last point for all in the rudimentary stage as the willful manifester. Okay, so everybody's going to go through this, most likely. You know what I mean. when that will at some point turns a corner and you wholeheartedly will full, so you will full your soul power and say yes to your blueprint. So when we're able to do that, when we're feeling like, something is in here, something's trying to get through, I am tired of scrapping and trying and falling and feeling stuck and confused, I'm just going to say yes. Like, okay, please, yes, guide me, show me, teach me. That is a key moment. That activates our divine blueprint and gives permission to begin a deeper level of our learning how to operate. Now, there are many of those points I will attest to, at least from my personal experience. Soul has consistently been anchoring in your divinity with each surrender. You have not been the doer for some time. Okay, so that was more personal. But many of you, I'm sure, can relate when you've gone through those stages, and it's like, okay, I'm divinely aligning and things are moving. Is it really my will? Is it the divine will? I don't know, but it feels right. It feels true. It's bringing towards me that which continues to fulfill me and bring me into love and joy, right? And happiness and peace. Learning how to live in accordance to divine will is one of the greatest feats of the human being. So, hear that again. Learning how to live in accordance with divine will is one of the greatest feats of the human being. This entering into divine union is the way, right? There are many the ways, right? There isn't one way, but the spectrum that leads us into a wholeness and a communion with Source, and we could say into, the 5D, into the heart and the high heart, into that expansive spaciousness of being, into coherence, into divine neutrality, into divine love. These are all different languaging for the coming into divine union. So I asked, will everyone be able to master this? And I was told, not for some time. However, it isn't everyone that is needed. It is those of you who are called into divine mastering via your blueprint into divine union. The material plane is now where the rubber meets the road. Humanity has been unwinding from the scarcity and survival stories slowly but surely. So, okay, when we're saying the collective who's doing this work, that's just part and parcel of this breaking free, is we have to come into a new relationship with our survival, with money, with power, with our vocation, our jobs, right? There's a full spectrum. You will necessarily feel squeezed here and there. The point is to bring your heart to its knees. Please take this in the most loving way, they said. Bringing you to your knees is a turning point for your ability to stand tall and strong in the divine power that will radiate through you via the love of God, the love of life, the love of spirit, the love of source, however that speaks to your being. It is now the recognition that the divine can do for us what we cannot do for ourselves. It is the trust that is required to be put in divine source and God's love. So, in order to move into this next phase, our relationship with that consciousness, that energetic force, we have to go deeper in relationship with that. We have to start to anchor in the faith and trust that we are held, that we are carried, that we are loved. And it's step by step. That faith and trust, that's coming into play your entire journey. So if you've been on this journey for, 6 months, and maybe you're not thinking about faith and trust, you're still learning to operate in that new level of consciousness. If you've been doing it for, 10 years, there are still deeper levels of faith and trust. Many of us who have been doing this longer, been doing this for 30 years, I'm always astounded at the next levels of faith and trust. And not just to experience faith and trust that's fleeting, but to embody faith and trust. To learn to live from that space and know that you're safe, you're provided for, you're guided as needed. You will always have what you need for every lesson you need to learn. And there is that trust that life is here only to love us, only to lift us into freedom, into peace, into love. So this deepens consistently over time through every phase and stage of our journey. We just aren't always aware that these are the codes, the literal coding that is working with us. So this isn't to disempower humanity. It is to grow and mature humanity into the highest expressions of their divinity. So we grow on a number of different levels into maturity and mastery as we come into remembering the different expressions of our divinity, right? We can call this our highest self aspects, our soul aspects, our own fractals of light, our multi-dimensional self. That highest expression of your divinity is the spark of God. The expressions of the divine that are many. The many faces of the divine are now to become the human race evolving into the highest benevolent, grace-filled beings they can be. That's us. Yes, this is a very long process, they said. So I loved this analogy too. They said, think of Jesus and the Christed family. This was what was growing through them. Okay. Now notice, that is a force that is growing through them. It's the living teachings that are in any living tradition that grow, mature, that evolve us, that ascend us, that help us to remember all that we've been. So this was what was growing through them. They weren't doing it. They weren't the doers. Some in more advanced stages than others. They were very much a minority at that time, in a majority that were indeed the walking dead, right? Those that were fast asleep, those that were trapped and stuck in density, in fear and survival. Now, however, look around at how many souls are on the move to become their highest truth. They are also going through the phases of development and disintegration, rebirth and death and rebirth, again and again and again and again. This is part of the process, right? It's an epic journey we're on. Like, this is like a movie that we are the characters in this movie. So as we become more soul-filled, in other words, the more aligned that we become with our wholeness and our healed self, our higher fractals of our soul presence can come into the body because they're at a higher frequency. At a lower frequency, when we're operating from wounding, the frequencies are denser. And so they can't, our bodies cannot hold the light when we're walking our life in a lot of pain and suffering and wounding and attachment and anger and rage and a lot of things, right? So we have to heal those things. We have to understand that we have to alchemize those shadow aspects, and as we do that, more light can come in. Once you get to certain stages, more light can start anchoring in, and that means that the fragmentation of your soul through healing is able to integrate, and then the higher aspects of our soul, we become more soul-filled. Your will is more divinely aligned than ever at that point, because you are living through God sufficiency. This is one of the most challenging because the material plane is now the ground of your transformation. Everything in the physicality is both falling and crumbling. And the consciousness of those root centers, the first, second, and third chakras, they are screaming in fear and confusion and clinging for the literal life that has been believed to be true, right? We believed we could count on a lot of things in the physical world. And we relied on them. We put our trust and our faith outside of us. into systems, into dogmas, into, you know, an education that didn't evolve us, into political systems that, well, that's a whole mess, right? Into religions that kept us in fear of the God within us, of our own divinity. In healthcare systems that are truly sick care systems, right? So we've put our trust outside of us into all of this illusion and falsehoods, even though personally I believe that every stage and phase of the development that's happened on this planet has been needed and necessary. And for me, I've been shown that you know, if I'm blaming it or making it wrong or dividing from it, then I'm in division, right? But understanding that everything has its purpose, even those things that are hard and challenging, even those things that prove to be illusory, even those things that we perceive as really heinous and bad, on some level, we are receiving some sort of teaching from them if we have ears to hear and eyes to see. And when we can integrate whatever that has been, we simply unify, and we don't fight against anything, but we unify and we alchemize that consciousness, and that comes into that larger divine neutrality, divine love. We understand the perfection in the largest sense of that word. But it's scary. This is what I want to say, right? It's scary at these collapse points. And you know, that's one of the reasons why it's really helpful to have assistance, to have guidance, to have support that can walk you through the phases and stages of this process of embodiment. There are lots of amazing systems and people doing amazing work. My forte, my mojo, my superpower is the subtleties of embodiment. Those of you who are now perceiving the new ways, right, are embodying a new consciousness of life. A life that is giving and nourishing, that is wise, and knows each of you intimately. Life is asking to hold and carry you. I mean, this is beautiful, and I will attest, over this last 2 years, it has felt very vulnerable and very precarious in this for me, particularly the last year. And yet, the more that I was able to soften and let go and hang out in the unknown, the more magic was allowed in to help us, right? When we're contracted and scared, we might be saying, help me, but we're like this. And they're like, we can't get in like that. We can't get into that. You got to let go. Because when you let go, we let go, right? When that point comes, we open up. And then we're truly ready for help. We're truly ready to let go of that ego that is desperately, clinging. And I'm not against the ego at all. I feel like the ego has to go through these transformations and this refinement with us. So I'm not like a kill the ego. I'm more like, just like our shadows, right? Our shadows are sacred. They're teachers. We're all, it's a unified, it's part of the divine union. It is that uniting all aspects of us to come together, to learn, to grow, to hold, to hold one another and to be held by all that is. Also, desperately wanting to show us that life is amazing. Life is here for you. You don't have to struggle and strife anymore. So they're saying, the ease and grace and peace and effortlessness you desire to live from and co-create from is life lifting you higher into that reality. That is part of the process. That is when you start to feel, right? Oh my gosh, life feels different. I feel like I'm sort of in a bit of a different world right now. Everything looks the same, but something feels very different. That's you peeking into the higher dimensional experience of a divine love. And that's what's waiting for us. That's literally waiting for us, not outside of us. It's inside of us. I think that's it that I want to read from this. So I want to read that last part again because it's so beautiful, right? The ease and grace and peace and effortlessness you desire to live from and co-create from is that desire, that higher desire, not low base level desires. Those are wants, those are needs, those are they're base level desires. This is from the heart. This is from the soul. I usually call them heart-soul desires. But that is the higher self in you saying, come here. You want this highest good because this is you trying to, pull you up into joy, into wholeness. So this is where we start touching on that multidimensionality, right? From a direct experience, multidimensional perspective, where you live it, right? Everybody is going to recognize those moments. So know that they aren't just fleeting and they're just here to come and go. They're here to help you to keep choosing that. Right? Because it's you. That's the beauty of it. It's your soul. It's your highest self. It's the divine. It's life. It's all of it working together to uplift humanity. And as the more of us uplift, we're holding more and more light to shine down on this deeply wounded planet that is doing its best to heal. So, okay, that's the guidance. I have more, but I'm going to follow up on some of this over on Patreon. So again, you're more than welcome to come over there. There is a membership, a paid membership for only $8.88 a month, and you get we're going through the gene keys right now. We're getting light language activations, which are key to our accessing and holding more light and clearing and up-leveling and getting that assistance from our divinity. And then we also do the full moon and new moon meditation journeys with light language. And then there are things on the unpaid as well. So I'd love to have you over there. And if you would like to go deeper, then you can reach out to me at my website, lotuslindley.net, and say hi. Let me know what it is that you're feeling. After 30 years of this journey, right, I literally have worked from the very base levels of my own alcoholism, getting out of that, moving out of that, jumping on to my spiritual journey trajectory, and then going through massive awakening that you can read about in my book, Awakening from the Dream, a Kundalini memoir that covers about my first decade of, the huge awakening piece of it, and many years after that. So there are many phases and stages that I am able to offer assistance in, and this is what I'm here for. This is what I love to do. So thank you for being here, and thank you for receiving. And I hope this resonated. I would love to know what resonated with you. If anybody wanted to share below, and all links will be below as well. All right. Many blessings. Much love. See you soon.